What is up, guys? Thanks for tuning in to the next episode of the Three Peaks Fitness Podcast. I'm Coach Mark.
I'm Coach Lynette.
Today, we are going to be talking about the value of having a plan.
Yes.
And why planning is so important, why planning is probably it's probably the aspect of fitness that is done the most improperly.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
This is all what I do in my coaching is help people how to plan.
Yeah.
That's all. You can't have a health fitness without knowing how to plan.
Yeah. And well, I think a lot of people know that.
Yeah.
And a lot of people do plan, but I think they go about it the wrong way.
Yeah. Yeah. They miss a lot of steps, a lot of key things.
Yeah.
So what I find happens to a lot of people, they come to me frustrated that their lives are kind of chaotic. Their eating is chaotic. Everything's kind of chaotic because of their lack of planning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they just don't know how to get a handle on it. It's easier than they think, though.
Yeah.
When they go through the process, they realize, oh, this was no big deal.
Yeah. And a lot of times people might have plans that are too thought out, right? Or too unrealistic.
If you have too much detail,
yeah,
then it's not flexible enough.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
Lynette, what would you say is the biggest problem that you've come across with clients in terms of their planning?
Oh, number one, they don't do it in the first place. They just get home from work and they're like, I don't know what's for dinner, right?
Yeah.
So there is no planning. That's the number one problem is no plan. Mm-hmm. And then when they finally do try to plan, it's unrealistic. Mm. You know, it's a meal made from scratch after they've had a long day at work, and there's, the last thing they want to do is chop a bunch of vegetables and thaw out meat, and then they end up eating at 10 o'clock at night, and that's not something you can keep up with night after night.
Yeah.
So it's like they keep swinging from one end of the spectrum to the other, and they end up just giving up.
Yeah, it's like that all or nothing mentality, and that becomes increasingly difficult in life when things happen, which they will. So you have this big elaborate plan of, I'm going to cook, I'm going to harvest vegetables from my garden and cook these beautiful recipes every night for dinner. Until you have to stay late for work.
And it's over.
One day, and then it's game over. Then you're at home, I can't do this.
And now it's pizza and beer.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. And so what I've noticed, this is something I teach people, is your relationship or behavior around food will mimic your relationship and behavior around people. Mm. So when you learn how to plan, when you're learning to plan foods, the things that we're going to teach today, your relationships with people are going to become a big part of that. Like it's like this, they're mutually interconnected. And so when you're trying to change how you eat every night, you're going to be dealing with relationships. So it's something to anticipate there. It's like, I'm going to have to deal with, the kids or the spouse or friends where they want to eat. There's you have to expect that.
Yeah, that's a big one. That's a big one. I think a lot of people go into it saying, okay, I'm going to eat this way.
Yeah.
But then their husband doesn't want to eat that way.
Right, right.
Of course, their kids don't want to eat
You're
that
not
way.
living in a vacuum, right? There's going to be other people involved with your eating. So you just got to be aware of that, but don't be afraid of it. It's doable.
Yeah, that's definitely something to consider for sure. What sort of strategies would you have for someone planning around that type of thing, the relationships? What, like if you're working with a mom, right, who got the husband, got 2 kids, what sort of strategies are you going to recommend to her in order to navigate her being able to accomplish what she wants to accomplish?
Okay, there's a lot of really great strategies. One of the moms I worked with, or we have dads too, but to get the family involved. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. It's different for every family. Mm-hmm. I had one mom that she couldn't get the family to sit around the table and pick a meal out for the week. Like there was just too much arguing. Mm-hmm. So she kind of did a regression of that. So she just went around and asked each person, like, what is your 3 favorite meals? And then she just wrote down each person's 3 favorite meals. And then she used that to plan the meals for the week. So that was a good happy medium. That was a family of teenagers that but if your children are younger, they might get really excited if they want to get together and pick out the dinners for the week. Mm-hmm. So another thing that really people get excited about is when they learn that they don't have to cook every night. They don't have to plan to eat every single meal like from scratch in the home. So even if you look at your week and you're planning Sunday through Saturday and you pick, one night you just write leftovers on the calendar. Like, yes, this is the plan. We're going to eat leftovers. So Monday we're going to make this, clam chowder with sourdough bread. And then Tuesday night, it's the leftovers. And yes, I'm taking that to lunch as well. Like, it's easier than they think, right? And then Wednesday, all right, now we'll just have, hamburgers and green beans or whatever. And then Thursday, leftovers. Friday, order out. Saturday, yo-yo, which is you're on your own. So that's, you tell everybody in the house, you're on your own. Yeah. And they said, I'm planning meals by putting you're on your own. I'm like, yeah, you're telling everyone that's part of the plan. It's okay. Yeah. So planning meals does not mean, okay, now I have to cook 7 nights a week.
Yeah.
It just means what's going to happen. That's what planning meals is.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I think a lot of people, too, confuse meal planning with meal prepping, right?
Yeah,
Oh, no, do I have to cook all this, like, gross chicken that I don't really want for 7 days?
Yeah.
It's not that. Planning is literally just coming up with a plan.
I know. I put meal planning or meal prepping into YouTube, a search engine on YouTube, and I couldn't believe the ridiculous, overreaching, like 6-hour projects, massive. I'm like, oh no. To me, slicing a cucumber is meal prepping. Like, oh, I sliced a cucumber. I'm good for the week for cucumbers. So it's the key to planning is make it simple. Make it realistic and make it very clear what needs to happen. You can't have, say, oh, I'm going to prepare 3 dinners this week. That's a good start, but what are those dinners? What do you need to shop for? And when are you going to prep the food? Because most people can't do all of it the evening of.
Right. Yeah, that would be a lot.
So you kind of come up with something that's realistic and make the meal simple too. A lot of people think they need to eat, lasagna and then, chicken Kiev and
beef Wellington.
Yeah. It's like, no. Single ingredients, right? This is your fish. This is your potato. This is your vegetable. Like it's a bag salad, like really, really easy. So meal planning doesn't mean complicated Pinterest meals. It can if you enjoy cooking and that's a thing that you love, then maybe once or twice a week you do one of those fancy dinners. But I would say most of the time simple happens way more often than the fancy stuff.
Yeah. So what are what would be some good what's the word I'm looking for? My brain's not working today. What would be some good examples of opportunities where it would be smart to plan ahead? So what types of things have your clients or what type of things do you, because you're really good at this, what type of things do you typically think ahead on and plan for, just going through life? Yeah.
So like if you're going to plan the meals for the week, you got to look ahead. Like if you've got soccer on Tuesday and Thursday and you're not going to be home till 8:00, that's a slow cooker night, right? So you got to think ahead. Like, okay, so look at the schedule, the work schedule, the kids' school schedule. Vacations are huge. People think, oh, I'm going on vacation, and they automatically default to, well, there is no plan. I'm on vacation. I'm on vacation mode. But no, you can have a plan in place for that.
Yeah.
So that's a really good thing to do. I just go, all right, define what success will look like while you're having that busy soccer night or the vacation. Like, what is it that at the end, how do I want to feel? Do you want to feel like, oh, yeah, I treaded water, I stayed afloat, I did good, or I crushed it, Be realistic, but decide how am I going to define success? And then come up with a realistic, simple, clear plan to do that. So, for instance, you were saying before we started recording, if you're on vacation on the beach and you want to stay active, but you're not necessarily looking to do huge energetic workouts, then maybe plan a morning jog on the beach or a walk on the beach every morning. And then if you're in the mood, hit the gym, later on.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if you have that plan in place, then it's more likely to happen, and you can invite someone to go with you if you want. But yeah, you have that plan in place, you feel better about it, and you're not trying to make the decision in the moment.
Right.
So if you're waiting until you get there, oh, maybe I'll go for some walks on the beach. Like if it's just real vague like that, most of the time it's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But if you make a clear plan, all right, we're staying on this hotel on the beach. I'm gonna get up. I mean, let yourself sleep in a little. Like I'll get up at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
Go for a jog, and then we'll have breakfast together. And just let your family know this is what I'm going to do. So then it'll happen. You feel good about it, and you're not. It relieves stress because when you're not sure what you're going to do, that's when the anxiety goes up. Like, well, I can't run right now because this is happening right now because you didn't plan ahead.
Right.
And so other things are going to come in and hijack your time and hijack your decisions.
Yeah. Now
if you haven't planned it.
I don't want to interrupt you, but you just reminded me of something that I think is equally as important as we're talking about this when you have a plan, right? So I'm thinking, okay, if I'm on vacation, I'm in relaxation mode, right? Maybe I'm not the most motivated individual at that time. Let's say I have a plan of, I'm going to wake up at 8 a.m. and go for a 30-minute walk on the beach, right?
Yeah.
Let's say that alarm goes off and I'm like, I don't really feel like walking. What strategy would you recommend in that case?
Okay, well, first of all, if you're not a morning person, not super motivated, I would not plan an 8 a.m. walk in the first place. Like, be objective with yourself. Like, now, and if you have to set an alarm to do it while you're on vacation, I don't do things that I have to set alarms for on vacation. Like, no, I wake up when I wake up.
Yeah.
And I'll just go. So, number one, be realistic. Number two, if you're in the moment and it's time to go, to do your plan, and for some reason it's not happening, like maybe you are just way too tired or whatever, then make a plan B, a plan C. Like, oh, maybe I'll go in the afternoon, or I'll go at lunch, and be specific about it. Like, okay, I will eat lunch, and tell someone else about it. Like, hey, I'm going to go on a walk right after lunch. Will you go with me? You give yourself some accountability.
Yeah.
So, I mean, don't put too much pressure on yourself during vacation, but you will feel better. Focus on how you're going to feel after. Like, okay, talk yourself into just 5 minutes of whatever the thing is. Like, okay, I'm too tired for a 20-minute walk, but I'm just going to go out, put my foot in the waves, turn around, come back. You know, talk yourself into 5 minutes of whatever. And usually you end up doing the full thing. But if you can talk yourself into a 5-minute version of what you had planned, you can usually make it happen. Yeah,
those 5-minute actions are so important.
Yeah.
And to your point, you want to you want to be solution oriented.
Yeah.
Right. So you don't want to be problem oriented. You don't want to be like just thinking about how you don't feel like walking. You want to be like, okay, like what can I do to, solve this problem? Maybe the solution isn't going for that walk. Maybe it's, the family's going to dinner that night. And maybe the restaurant's a 15-minute walk away,
there you
and
go.
maybe you walk. And so that would qualify, right? But having that that solution oriented mindset instead of, trying to find the barriers, I think can be really important as well.
Yeah. Definitely. Looking for, okay, how can I make this happen? And again, trying to steer away from the all or nothing thing. Like, oh, I'm on vacation, I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
What can I do to just keep my foot in the game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then if you just don't end up doing that walk that you planned, just, don't beat yourself up. Like,
no.
Just try again tomorrow. Like, don't beat yourself up, I think is also very important, right? If it doesn't happen, don't fall into that guilt cycle of, oh, I'm a failure. Like I couldn't do it. No, just try again tomorrow.
Right. And then, like I said, at the beginning of the vacation, right, the purpose of the vacation is to relax and have quality time with other people. So maybe the solution would be to combine the activity with that goal of having quality time with other people.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can find someone else in your group that's willing to do your activity with you, then you're going to accomplish your goal of quality time with people, and then the activity will be a nice bonus. And then you feel good about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you don't feel like they're competing with each other. Like, oh, I wanted to go on a jog, but I want quality time with my family.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're able to combine them, that's really helpful.
Yeah. So we've touched on strategies for a busy week. We've touched on vacation strategies. Last thing I wanted to touch on is we got the holidays coming up.
Yes.
Right. And this is a big one for a lot of people.
Yes.
Holidays are kind of like mini vacations, right? Thanksgiving is coming up. What sort of strategies could you recommend in terms of planning for holidays?
So I've got a macro strategy, and then you've got a micro strategy. So my macro strategy is before the holidays, like this is the perfect time to do this. You can pick one thing, a focus for the holidays that will help you get through it without just the chaotic eating, because everyone does all this chaotic eating and drinking. So you can just pick something ahead of time that you're just going to focus on, like, all right, I'm going to eat all my meals slowly. Or not all of them. That's not realistic. But I'm going to eat slowly during the holidays. And so try to get one meal a day where it lasts at least 15 minutes. And then by the time you get to the end of the holidays, no matter what you ate, you know you were able to eat slowly one meal a day. Like you accomplished something. And it does. That skill alone will help you not overeat as much. It really helps. Another really good one is be picky. Like, what? How is that a strategy? So don't eat just any chocolate someone throws in front of you or any drink that someone throws in front of you. Decide that you want only the best. Like, okay, is it good enough? Is this store-bought brownie from the gas station? Is that really? No. That's not good enough. That's not good enough. Yeah. I want a really good brownie. So be picky. Be snobby. Yeah. That's a good one. People really like that one, and it really works well, is to be picky. Like, I only want the best cheesecake. I only want the best stuffing. Not going to do the stovetop. I want the good homemade stuff. Like, be picky and wait for the good stuff, and then you'll enjoy it more. And then you'll be guilt-free. So that's another popular one. That's the macro plans. Then the micro plan is what you were talking about, where you have an event you're going to go to. What is your plan for, like, okay, Thanksgiving dinner with the family? What am I going to do when I go in there? There's going to be tons of food. What is success going to look like? Success is going to look like, all right, I eat one nice plate and a dessert. That's what I want. Okay, and then you get in there and you eat your one nice plate and your dessert, and you're like, oh, another slice of pie. I'm not sure. And then you were mentioning, well, your plan could be, if I feel tempted to have another slice of pie, I have full permission to eat it, but I just need to wait 15 minutes. Or my favorite is drink a glass of water, because you can get really dehydrated.
Yeah.
You know, all the salt and the sugar at these activities can really make you thirsty, and you think you want pie when really you're thirsty. So just give yourself full permission to eat whatever, but say, oh, I'm just going to wait 15 minutes, or drink a glass of water first. So you just put the thing before the thing. Yeah. And then you can eat guilt-free, and you do end up eating less that way. Less than if you were trying to restrain, because you'll end up eating 3 or 4 pieces of pie if you're trying to restrict yourself. And so, just give yourself a nice parameter guideline to follow. Yeah, for sure. Cool. Yeah, so to sum it up, right? So if you are struggling with planning, right, the things you want to remember, you want to keep it simple. Yeah. Right? Number 1, you want to define what success is. Yeah. In that given day or week or whatever, right? So define what success is for this vacation. Right. Or define what success is on that busy Thursday when you're not getting home till 8. Right? Define and realistically define. Something that's realistic. Yeah. Number 2, think about the challenges you may come across. Yeah. In those times. That's really important. Every session I have with a client, we come up with our plan, and then, all right, what are the challenges? And every time, there's always at least one, but sometimes there's 3 or 4. Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. And then plan and prepare. for those
accordingly,
challenges.
for those challenges.
Yeah.
And then make adjustments as necessary.
Yes, because even with the plan,
Yep.
something's always going to come in.
Yeah.
Something always going to come in from the side, the rear view mirror.
Always.
Always from your blind spot. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you just got to be willing
Mm.
to make adjustments and just do what you can.
Yeah.
So and come up with what your minimum is.
Yeah. And be solution oriented.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So I have this. I've determined what success is to me.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let me be a problem solver as I navigate this and things come
Yeah.
up.
It's a whole mindset. It's a whole shift in the way you think.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so think about, one thing we didn't think about or talk about is when you come up with your plan, you've got to be prepared to trade things off or say no to other plans that compete with your plan. And this can be really, really tricky, especially if you're, like a caregiver or a parent, because the other demands that come in are very compelling. But you've got to find a way to really be a little bit selfish in some cases and say, the kids want to come and play. Oh, that's the biggest guilt trip. Oh, come play with me, mommy. And it's time to go do your workout. Like
Right.
there is a way to make it work. Right. Bring the kid with you or play with them before the workout or go to the workout and come home and play. But do not sacrifice what you've planned for someone else's momentary demands. You got to say no. It's really, really tough, but that's a really important part of having your own personal health. Is learning what you're going to trade off and say no to.
Setting those boundaries.
Yeah, I got to set some boundaries.
Yeah. Cool. Well, you got anything else before we wrap this one up? Anything else to talk about in terms of planning?
I think just decide what we've all done the analogy of the jar analogy with time and priorities and the big rocks, the pebbles, and the sand. I think a lot of us fall into the pit of putting the sand in. Like we usually throw in one or two rocks for our health or our time in general. I got to work. I should eat some vegetables, whatever. We're pretty good at that. But then we start throwing in sand and pebbles before we've put in all the big rocks. So most people don't realize this, but your time with your family and friends and your sleep and your nutrition are big rocks. Those are not extras. So we should plan those first. And then the sand, believe it or not, folks, is TV, video games, going out drinking. But people they put that in first and then try to fit in their health and fitness, and it doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's the fun stuff. That's the
right. And
dopamine. And
here's the cool thing: is if you take care of those big rocks first, the sand does fit in. It will fit in the best sand.
Yeah.
The things that don't really matter will not fit in. But so you just plan those things first. Plan time with families and friends. Plan, of course, earning a living. Plan your sleep and plan your health-related stuff first. That's important. That's your big rocks. And then the other stuff will fit in where it should.
Nice. Nice. Cool. Yeah. So hopefully this was helpful, guys, and we will talk to you next time.
All right. Bye-bye.